Assalamu alaikum everyone, good evening, thank you for being here. I'll try and keep this as tight and limited as possible, and I'm happy to meet you afterwards if you have any questions or would like to discuss anything. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be at Biban. My name is Zohare, and I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Jalebi. We're a team of 3 founders, and we're working on a solution to help restaurants extract value from better inventory management across the whole operational value chain. So I'll quickly jump into, I have a little presentation as well. So just a little bit of background. We started this company a little more than 2 years ago, looking at opportunities to solve for the F&B landscape as a B2B product that's purely SaaS, or software as a service, to help restaurants to operate better. There's a lot of technologies that exist in the general F&B landscape, but our goal was to really try and understand what are some of the key pain points that restaurants struggle from, and how can we build a solution that can tackle a problem that is not being solved. And the problem that we sort of narrowed on was essentially, I'll move forward real quick. Okay. Is the problem of inventory. Now, inventory is a nuisance for a lot of businesses because they have different ways of managing it, from capturing the data to actually managing the raw material itself. And a lot of money gets lost and wasted in the management of the inventory simply because of a fragmentation in the way that either technology is being used or not used for these restaurants. What we understood was that the opportunity to look at inventory as a game changer for restaurants was by looking at how much efficiency is lost in the management of the inventory. And we looked at about 15 million restaurants around the world. That's the total size of the global market. Sorry, this clicker is not friendly. Oh, there we go. Okay. Sorry. It's not being compliant. Ah, there we go. Okay. So, move this side. Okay. Logistical problems. So the total value or the opportunity that we're exploring is about $650 billion of efficiency that's basically being lost. So what that basically means in very simple terms is restaurants spend X amount of money to procure and acquire inventory. About $650 billion worth of inventory gets wasted, or cash that's invested in inventory gets lost simply because of things like the raw material getting wasted or not consumed properly, inefficient tracking, a lack of visibility on how much actually is available versus how much is not available. And ultimately what that does is it becomes a big cost center for the restaurant. They're spending money on raw material, they're not recovering that, because once they've invested in the raw material, they're going to have to sell it. And in order for them to sell it, they have to get customers. Now, in order for them to get customers, obviously, they have to be on delivery apps, they have to have marketing, they have to have a whole bunch of other things that help them enable demand-side acquisitions. What we are trying to really focus on, sorry, this clicker is really problematic. So the way that we did this and way we approached this whole, let's say, space was by, without going in with a solution, we went in to meet with F&B people, with F&B operators across different markets and just ask them a lot of different questions. What are your main pain points? How do you solve them? What are the different technologies that you use to address these pain points? Have you had these pain points for a long time or, oh, thank you. Have you had these pain points continuously? Is this a pre-COVID thing? Is it a post-COVID thing? One thing that we realized through this entire journey that we've been on for the last year and a half is, since COVID happened, restaurants suddenly started to worry more about cost than they ever did before. Interestingly, before COVID, everyone was thinking more about how do I get more customers in through the door? How do I sell my food faster? How do I increase my basket size? Today, things have changed. Everyone's thinking, how can I spend less money on my operations? How can I spend less money in my inventory? How can I have less staff doing things? So it's about trying to go back to the ground and saying, how can I do things more efficiently? Because the customers will come. And one thing we've learned after COVID is that generating demand is not so hard if you have good customers, if you have a good product, and you have tremendous numbers of delivery partners in the country that can help you achieve your acquisitions. The hardest part is actually making that an efficient process. And our whole approach to this was very simple. We thought, what could we do or say that's fundamentally different from what anybody else has ever been saying? We're not promising you're going to sell more, you're going to make more profit, but instead we're going to help you save money. How do we help you save money? We look at how much money you spend on your inventory, connect it all the way to your point of sale, and help you understand exactly what your variance is in terms of how much you think you should be spending to sell food to a customer versus how much you actually spend to sell food to a customer. And when you realize how you tighten the gap on the data, the more you're able to understand. And because you have more visibility on compounding activity, you're actually able to understand exactly what's going on from both an operational and a financial point of view. And then we went a step further and we thought, okay, you save money, so what? Everybody wants to save money. What are you going to do with that money? How can I use that money to better my business? Just because I've saved a few bucks doesn't mean that I can do more with it. So then we started to look, and we studied data from across the entire industry in the GCC. We looked at lots of reports from across Saudi, UAE, Oman, and even Egypt. And one thing we realized was that, the data is very fragmented, but one thing it tells us is that the opportunity for businesses to grow faster basically means that if I have more capital to put back into the business, to open up new branches, to invest in better equipment, to buy better ingredients, that's an investment that the restaurant wants to make but is unable to because they don't have the capital to do it. And so we started looking at, okay, if we can help you save money and we can help you optimize your operation, that means you should be able to reinvest that money back into the business and do more things. So through this process, we also then uncovered another thing, was that by saving money, you're not only improving your operations and making yourself more efficient, but you're also impacting waste. Now, waste is a big pain point that people don't necessarily address or talk about in the way that we'd like to. We talk about waste from either a purely sustainability point of view, or we talk about it from actual waste and we don't know what to do with it. What we realized is that there's a very interesting relationship, a symbiotic relationship between food waste and food cost. And if you are able to control food cost, you'll actually be able to intrinsically control food waste to a significant level as well. By doing that, what you're ultimately doing with the businesses is you're giving them more efficiency, you're reducing their waste, you're giving them more your cost savings, and ultimately what that does is increases marginal income, which means that it's costing them less money to service customers without having to increase the price for the customer. So I'm going to skip forward a little bit because I don't want to make this about the presentation, but essentially what we're trying to do is something that is looking at things from the inside out. So we're trying to do an inside-out approach to restaurant operations with a slightly leaner, faster, and more efficient technology. And of course, we haven't figured it out yet. We don't have all the answers, but we're in the process of doing it. We're very proudly accelerated by Techstars, which is an accelerator program that you may have heard of. We have a booth over here, and we're very excited to talk to anybody in the F&B space who's interested in learning more about what we're doing. We are raising a round of funding right now as well, so if anybody has loose change and wants to make an investment, please come on over. It was very nice to speak with you all, and I hope that you have a lovely evening. Is there anything else? I'm going to end it here. Thank you.